Hi, I'm Emily, and I'm here to show you how to make a Christmas forage wreath. So what you want to do is start with a wreath form. This is a wire form that I beefed up with moss. Gives it a little bit more structure to adhere stems to. And what you want to do is have some good pruners and some wire cutters. And what I like to use is floral wire that's on a paddle. This will be really, really helpful when you're making a foraged wreath. So what you want to do is start with some chunkiness. This is a juniper, and I love the juniper. It smells really good, and it has that kind of foresty texture. You can use cedar. One thing I really recommend is once the Christmas tree lots start going up, the cuttings from Christmas trees are really, really useful to use on a foraged wreath or even in any kind of garland or arrangement. So when you start your foraged wreath, go out into your own garden and check and see what kind of plants you have. You can also go to a neighbor's yard with permission, but I gathered everything here from our own garden here at Rogers Gardens. So when you start putting your wreath together with your floral wire, you want to adhere the juniper to the wreath holder, and what you do is take your wire and just wrap it around. Don't cut it, leave it on the paddle. This is one thing that I learned from our creative director, Eric Cortina. Probably like the biggest game changer tip is never cutting this wire until the very end. You're just gonna continue to wrap as you go around and add more and more pieces. Making a foraged wreath seems intimidating, but by learning from Eric, I found that really I can do this, and so can you. So when you have smaller pieces, you can always bundle them together, and you just tuck it underneath the piece that you started with before that, and just go ahead and keep wrapping it around, and then you just keep going around. I'm just gonna continue adding my juniper just to get the base of my wreath going. So now I'm done putting my juniper down as my base layer. When I do a Christmas foraged wreath, I love using stems that are reminiscent of the forest. And this is gravelia. I think it has just a really beautiful structure to it and texture. And when you're adding more layers to your wreath, you can actually slip it under the wire that you already have used with your base layer, or you can always use your floral wire and continue wrapping. So you just want to continue in the same direction as your base layer. And again, if you have smaller pieces, you want to clump them together. Now the best thing about a foraged wreath is that it's not going to be super structured. It's going to look wild, and I think that is the best part about it. So don't be afraid if you have some pieces that kind of go willy-nilly. That's what makes a foraged wreath so unique and beautiful. So next I'm using wistrinja. This has like beautiful, beautiful texture. Kind of has a little bit of a gray green with a hint of yellow. And keep just continuing with the direction that you started. Just start adding this next layer. That you can always do is use something moody like leucadendron if you wanted to add some color. You can add any color, any kind of stem you'd like. Ornamental cabbage is really unique and beautiful. You just want to make sure you get all the dirt off and roots. Just kind of do a little cut on the end. And you can always stick it in if you have a wire, or if you want to have some additional wire, you can cut it. You just wrap around and do a little twist tie stem, and that way you can adhere to the wreath if you wanted to go that route. So these are just a few suggestions of some other stems that you can use. So what I'm going to do to finish this particular wreath is using some privet berry. And you just want to, you can keep the leaves if you want to, but I'm just going to take them off this wreath and just keep the berries. I just think they're really beautiful and blend with that green that I'm using. Done with my wreath, and just to fill in some holes, I'm going to use some seeded eucalyptus. The berries kind of mirror the privet berries, and it smells so good. So I'm just going to continue adding a little bit more just to fill in little holes that I see. My wire attached to its paddle, so you just want to cut it okay. So you just take your wire and you just want to kind of wrap it around your wreath holder. And you can do that a couple of times, but it should stay secure. So now this is your finished product. If you want to have a foraged wreath for an event, you want to actually make the wreath the day before. It should last about 3 days, and you can mist it daily. If you want it to last a little bit longer, I recommend using stems that dry really well, or it's already dried already. Another tip too, if you want to start a wreath without actually having to use a wire wreath form, you can get a live pine wreath. that works really, really beautifully, and you already have the pine as your base to begin with. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you for joining me.